Hello everyone, today I'm going to be reviewing George R. R. Martin's A Dance with Dragons, and it is book 5 of the popular A Song of Ice and Fire series, and I did not organize this review at all, and I only read the book once, so this is going to be more of a first impressions kind of a review, and so it's going to be a little bit scattered and not very well thought out, so here I go. First of all, I want to say that I did enjoy the book a lot. I kind of feel like it definitely went hand in hand with the previous book, A Feast for Crows, and I feel like these two books were more like an intermediate kind of a book, and I'm including A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons right now, that they are more like filler kind of books, I want to say, and that they did not include as many like wow moments and like blow you out of the water kind of moments. And so while I was a little bit disappointed that there weren't many epic moments that I wanted, I kind of see like where he was going with these two books and how I feel to me that they were more like a kind of slow, easy pace getting you on the right track for the next two books, which I feel that the next two books I feel like definitely they're going to be those action-packed, what we've all been waiting for kind of a book. Well, books. So that's what I feel that these two books are kind of like a setup for the next two. So this is kind of just getting us, so he's letting us know where we are in the series. I didn't feel like his objective was to actually, get us pumped. I think he has us at this like cliffhanger level for a reason. So there was a lot of like things that did not get solved, but piece by piece he's dropping off little hints and clues to a great many deal of questions we've been having, and he's actually managed to raise more questions. So that's very interesting. George R. R. Martin's brilliant, and this book of his was amazing. I actually did like it better than A Feast for Crows. I feel like I wanted to read a lot more of the POVs than I did in A Feast for Crows, where there were some POVs that I did not actually look forward to reading. I felt like each POV in this book actually had something to say to me. So I did like it better than A Feast for Crows. And the way I can put it to kind of explain myself is that like the first 3 books were like 11 out of 10, and these last 2 books were kind of like a 10 out of 10. So they weren't beyond, but they were like pretty darn good. So that's the easiest way I could put it. But to talk about some things that I thought were a little bit odd that stood out to me was definitely in the beginning half. George R. R. Martin started like making his characters a lot more vulgar than usual. Like his books have always included sex and vulgar language and a bunch of surprising things you don't really find in a lot of books, or at least not a lot of books that I read. He definitely does go beyond the norm. But I feel like whenever there is a sex scene or vulgar speech, it's like reflective of the character. It's not totally pointless. And in the beginning of A Dance with Dragons, I felt that there were a couple of pointless sex scenes, a pointless vulgar talk or mind speech. It was very weird, and I felt like half of it wasn't reflective or appropriate, and some of it actually made me feel like lose respect for some of the characters. Some examples are Asha. I know she's not Miss, innocent, but the way she was speaking about some things that I thought were totally not her, I didn't feel they were her. And Daenerys especially, like Asha, she's not Miss Innocent, and she kind of goes out of her way to, make sure she's not someone you mess with, she's not someone you take for granted. But Daenerys, someone I do love Daenerys a lot. Sometimes she would like in her head say these dirty things that I were just like kind of made me lose respect for the character. Tyrion as well, and I felt it wasn't reflective of the character at all. And some examples I could give you are when Daenerys and Khal Drogo first, make love. It's it's a sign of her submitting to him, but not because she has to as his wife, but because she's like planning to like, you know, make the best out of her situation for herself. And so that was reflective of Daenerys. Another example is Catelyn Stark and Ned Stark. When you enter on them, you know, just finished from them having sex, you see that they didn't do it because they love each other. You see that they did it out of honor. That is her duty to bear him children, and it is his duty to get children on her. So those are examples of how, you know, the sex in the book reflected the character. Even when it gets dirty, even when it gets kind of vulgar, it always reflected the character, and I felt like in A Dance with Dragons it didn't really do that. So that was a little bit odd for me. Another thing is, I really did not like how he would always leave you on like a cliffhanger at the end of a point of view and then not bring it up when the character's point of view comes again. It was so frustrating. It was like not frustrating in a bad way, but kind of a good way, like where you want to keep reading it. But sometimes I would just like get frustrated, and you could tell that they were never going to bring it up again. Like there are so many like minor storylines within his book series that you know he's never going to bring up again, but you just want to know, like, oh, I wish I knew like what the lore of that city was, or what the lore of that, you know, little monument was, and he's not going to tell you. But you know, he brought it up, just it like adds that, like, the only way I could think of it is like spice. He adds like so much spice in his books. Like it's like you might think it's unnecessary, but you know you wouldn't want it any other way. He like adds like that flavor, that spice to the book, that it just makes you feel like it's so real. So that's what I love about George R. R. Martin. He's brilliant, and he proved it in this book just like he did the other ones. I know a lot of people have been disappointed, at least from what I've heard, especially the person who let me actually borrow the books, which is why I haven't reread it, because I have to return it. But he was very disappointed, and because I just barely got done with the book, I haven't been able to talk to him about it. But yeah, there's a lot of disappointment, but I felt like it went along smoothly with the rest of the book series, and it has me looking forward to the next two books. And I feel that while it was a little bit slower, we get to actually see people go through like thought processes a lot slower than usual, and their travels, and sometimes, you know, you get to the point where you were looking forward to like so long and it doesn't happen. It just, you know, it's brilliant. You know what I mean? That's what I love about George R. R. Martin's work, is that nothing happens the way you want it to. Like Jon Snow's quote, "You know nothing, Jon Snow." That just reflects everyone who reads George R. R. Martin's book. We literally know nothing. We think we know, but we don't, which is just amazing about George R. R. Martin's work, and I love it. I love it so much. And A Dance with Dragons, I feel like A Dance with Dragons and A Feast for Crows were kind of like setup books, that it's just like the platform for like the next two books that are just going to be awesome and mind-blowing. A lot of people are like disappointed because they waited 5 years and it wasn't what they thought it would be. But after reading A Feast for Crows, I think we should have expected another easy-paced book like that, because A Feast for Crows and Dance with Dragons go hand in hand. So I don't know what all the disappointment was about. I mean, I think most of us were expecting something like this, something a little bit more easy-paced. But I thought it was pretty awesome, and I do want to reread it, so hopefully I get to borrow it again, because there's so many things that I missed. If you go on Tower of the Hand, and I really suggest you do, I'll put some links in the description bar below on YouTube. Just go to Tower of the Hand, and they showed me so many things that I've just like right over my head. So George R. R. Martin, he proved his worth again. Like I said, just one of the best fantasy series I've ever read, and it's way up there, like way up there. He like sets a bar that I don't think many people are going to be able to top. So Dance with Dragons, definitely a good read, and I suggest you read it. Expect it to be a little bit more slow-paced, but not bad. So if you guys have read it and you guys want to tell me what you guys thought about it and whether you liked it or didn't like it, things that I missed that I didn't get to quite bring up, please just write them in the comments, let me know. And if you're watching this through YouTube, there's a description bar below where I have a bunch of links where you can contact me. So thanks for your time. Bye.